then the other one, please. And then you shake your arms. Watch out if you don't hurt anybody. Right. Okay, thank you. Sit down, please. You're ready for the next. Estefanía, your presentation last year was so good, and we decided to invite you once again.
Thank you very much, Morten, and thank you, because I was actually going to ask you to stand up also and shake it, because I'm sure that it's been a long morning. I arrived here at 11, so I'm not that tired yet, but I understand that this is overwhelming to come to Denmark to experience a new culture, experience a new country, and then suddenly just get this injection of information at once. So I understand. I'm actually a little bit surprised that I got half an hour, because I'm certainly doing less interesting things. But I hope you enjoy my presentation. And first of all, I would like to welcome you all here. I'm sure that Bettina and Inger and Morten and all the teachers have already made you feel very, very welcome. So to start, who's that? Is that why was she talking to me? So I am Estefanía Zárate Angarita, as you can read my name right there. You can find me in Twitter if you have any questions, further questions, and you can always ask me, no matter if it's no longer today. So I am from Colombia. Is there any Colombian people today? No. Is there any Latin American people today? Great. A lot of Latin American people. Brazilian fellows? Great. So I started this program in 2016. I was one of the happy scholarship recipients of that year. I just graduated in July 17, from my specialism in London. Here you can see the nice picture we took that 1st of September 2016, the first time that we were all together as a cohort. And last year I started my presentation saying, well, when Bettina told me, come on here, welcome the students, I asked myself, why do I know now that I didn't know 1 year ago? So I asked myself the same question, what do I know now that I didn't know 2 years ago? Because it's been now 2 years since I started, and there are so many things that I could have never imagined that were going to happen. Like, for example, graduating this way. Like, it was actually sort of graduating from Hogwarts. It was amazing. The graduation in London was very ceremonial. As you can imagine, Greeks are very ceremonial. And all of these 2 years have been a very enriching experience. So last year, I focused my presentation on these 5 things, but I thought it was very lazy and very selfish of myself to repeat my presentation, so I'm going to go briefly through these 5 things that I advise people to take into account for the program. Definitely bike. I know there's a lot of people that come here and say, I'm not going to spend that money, and I think it's worth it, it's a year. I mean, this is the best chance you have probably in your life to actually experience a city where you can bike safely, when you can use a bike as a means of transportation. More importantly, cycling will keep you active. Cycling will keep you hyped. And that's very important from when the darkness arrives. It's not a myth. I mean, I was also here in September 2016 listening to all of these people saying, you're going to die. It's going to be so dark. And I was like, I mean, check this out, this weather is amazing. It's going to get dark, seriously. And I would definitely advise for cycling. It just keeps you up, it exercises. It's really good to cope with the darkness. Definitely cook. Danish and Danes like really good food. They like to hang out, they like to make dinners together, and it's very cozy, it's very giggly. You don't want to go out because it's so dark, because it's so cold. So making dinner together, it's a very nice way to also keep active, keep in touch with the people, and of course, for some of you, as it was my case, learn how to cook. I have never had to cook for myself every single day, and it's really nice. You might discover that you actually have a talent for it. Go to class. Sounds like stupid, of course I'm going to go to class, but it's going to be hard, because it's going to be dark. So I think my main motivation to keep on going throughout the winter was actually waking up at 9 or 10 and going to class, because that also kept me on going and kept my energy levels on a certain actual level. And I would definitely advise for getting some vitamin D. I mean, do like they want us. Whenever you see a sun ray, go out and expose your skin to it. and that's not going to be enough vitamin D. So I would strongly advise for getting some vitamin D pills. You can get them anywhere and start taking them daily since October. It's gonna make a huge difference. Don't take it personal. That's for the grades. Most of us come here and experience a completely new educational system. The grading system in Denmark, it's very different, and it's going to be probably different in the next year when you go to your specialism. So don't kick yourself too hard if you don't get very good grades at the beginning, because it's a process of adapting to a new system. And participate. This is a very interesting and a very, I would say, diverse crowd that you are going to have here every single day that you come to class. It's plus 40 nationalities. All of you have an accent. All of us, everybody has an accent in English. Most of you will be talking in a language that is not your native language. So don't feel afraid to speak up, because maybe you're not sure if you're using the correct words. You're not sure if your accent is maybe hard to comprehend for other people. And if you are an English native speaker, be patient. Be patient and be very supportive, because the rest of the people is doing something that you're not. That's an extra effort, and I think this is the best place where you can find people who would cherish that you're making that effort. So that was my actually half an hour last year. So I went very quickly to it, because I now understand that the real journey was not only Denmark, right? The big part of the journey. But the real journey, it's a journey of self-discovery. Because in here you're going to be able to contrast your identity, contrast your nationality, contrast your culture with another one, the Danish, and some other 40 ones, through what people has to say in class. This course, at least for me, it was crucial to understand that the world looks like this. This is how the world looks. And there are many reasons why nations and institutions and many other entities would like us to keep on believing that it looks like this. And then you look at the map and say, but where did all Africa go? Where's South America, right? And you're going to see that through what you study and through the debates that are going to be generated in the class, through listening. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of African people in here. You have African people in here. That's going to be great for debate. If you have Asian, Chinese, that's going to make the debate way more interesting. This other part of the self-discovery journey, it's about priorities. These 2 years helped me discover many priorities I have. For one, just one basic thing. I've been traveling, I've been packing and unpacking all my stuff so many times that I don't even know how many anymore. I was trying to count yesterday in how many places have I lived for the past 2 years, and I lived in more than 10. The past year, I didn't spend more than 4 weeks in a row in the same place. So I basically had already a bag packed, so I could go somewhere at some point. So that makes you think, what do I really need? Traveling by train, traveling by airport, by plane, by bus, by every possible means, just carrying all my stuff. And then I said, but why do I need all of these? I came with 65 kilos of luggage from Colombia to Denmark. And then I thought, how am I going to take all of these to London? And everywhere I went back to Colombia to visit my family, to work on my dissertation. Then I came back here again. And for more than 2 months, I was only carrying one handbag. And the rest of my stuff was packed in boxes. So that gave me a big understanding of what's important to me in many ways. What do I need to carry with me, right? Like, for example, my bike. I took my bike everywhere, not to Colombia, but I took it to London. I got it here in Denmark. Then, as you can see, my boyfriend was the one who helped me move it to London and then back to Denmark again by plane. And this becomes something that's very important in your life. Whatever you decide that you want to take everywhere, that defines you somehow as well. So that's a nice self-discovery journey there. And finally, this is definitely going to give you some empathy towards immigration issues. Some empathy that you won't get out of just reading it in the news. Most of you are going to have to go through visa applications. your families, some of your families are going to have to go through visa applications for coming to your graduation. Some of them might get rejected. This is a constant emotional struggle of frustration, of joy. If you don't have to apply for a visa, you're probably going to have a lot of friends that do have to apply for it. So you're going to be listening and in contact with those struggles for at least 2 months. You're not going to be talking about anything else than visa process for 2 months next year, I can assure you that. So my huge advice, I think a lot of people failed at this last year in my program, is prepare your visa application with plenty of time. Look up what are the requirements. You need certain amount of money, you need to have it in certain kinds of account, you need to have it for a certain amount of time. So save up your money, check out the requirements, make sure that your application is correct. So you don't have any problems going to the next specialism. And so you didn't have to hear only me. Today I made this compilation of videos of several of the former students, most of them or some of them of my cohort, so you can also listen to their advice. Can we...
Okay, 15 seconds on the clock. Hi, my name is Teresa. I did specialism in Amsterdam. I'm from Germany. I still live in Amsterdam.
Hi, this is Alessandro. I did the specialism in Amsterdam too. I'm from Italy and I live in Amsterdam. Goodbye and
Not
welcome.
at all.
Hey, future Mundusians, my name.
Wait, have you been able to see anything?
Yeah, in the beginning.
But
Maybe
before you did, right?
try to go out of the full screen.
Let's see.
I am originally.
Maybe, I don't know how the sound works, but, well, maybe you can listen to it, and then I guess Bettina can forward you the slides, and you can actually see people's faces, if that's okay.
Estefanía, try and put it out of full screen.
I already opened it in YouTube itself. So.
Okay. Oh, sweet. Yeah. Just from the slide, if possible.
Okay, no, we can't see anything, right? So I'm just gonna play it so you can listen to it.
Seconds on the clock. Hi, my name is Teresa. I did specialism in Amsterdam. I'm from Germany. I still live in Amsterdam.
Hi, this is Alessandro. I did the specialism in Amsterdam too. I'm from Italy and I live in Amsterdam. Goodbye and welcome.
Hey, future Mundusians, my name is Danish. I am originally from Mexico City, but then I moved to the US, and I'm currently doing my second year. Oh, sorry, wrong fingers. I have fat fingers. In Hamburg, Germany. And anyways, my tip for you would be to invest in a bicycle. I bought a bicycle when I was in Denmark, used it a lot, saved a lot of money, and I was able to bring it here to Hamburg. And I even know some people from my program that went to Swansea, and they ended up biking there. So I think if all else fails, just get a bicycle. It'll be worth your money, I promise. And welcome.
Biking 2 ways from Denmark, she meant.
Hello, my name is Bernardo. I'm from Mexico and I'm currently based in Hamburg. Almost done with my thesis now. Welcome to the program, and I really hope you enjoy August, and I really hope you enjoy the courses.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura. I'm from Brazil, Rio, where I am right now visiting my family. I'm not really good at this camera thing, but I really want to say congratulations. You are all here today, and that's amazing in itself. Remember the privilege that is to go back to school and also to study with people from all over the world. This experience is going to change you in so many ways that is impossible to spoiler. So just enjoy this ride. Even when it's really, really cold, remember how fantastic is this experience. Enjoy.
Hey guys, this is Mahal. I am right now in London, just on my way to work. And I've been told that I'm supposed to record like a video of all of you people who just started the program. I just finished the program. That's the most recent experience to share. And I guess, a couple points. Now you're saying in September that it's like the start of a 2-year-long journey that, you know, like you have time to think about it, and you're like, that's not true. It's gonna fly by so fast. It's gonna be like one long weekend, and you're gonna wake up Monday unemployed again. So make sure you enjoy it, because it really doesn't feel like it's been 2 years since I was in your position. What else? Oh, London, which was my cohort, is very expensive. So I would advise, right now as you are there in the big auditorium, or wherever it is held now, I know, could change, to look around and figure it out who are the rich people. And make friends with them, laugh at their jokes. Just become the best friends possible. So when you live in that expensive Denmark and move to even more expensive London, I feel, you have that really nice money cushion with you, always around. And you don't know, you could totally be like actually friends. So that's nice. Second important point, figuring out who the rich classmates are, and just be friends with them all the time. And even if they're like not funny, just haha. Still, yeah. And third point, I feel like it always comes in 3, but honestly, there's like 2 main points. I don't know, just I guess have fun, enjoy it. When you come to London, don't take my job, take someone else's job. Peace.
It's in a cry. It was so long, his video, but I said I'm just gonna leave it all. It's so insightful. Alright, so thank you for listening to me. I know it's been a long day, so thank you for your attention a lot. This is my contacts, really, whatever you need. A lot of people from last year actually made contact with me, followed me on Twitter, added me on Facebook, and I haven't met them. But I feel like I have, because I follow them everywhere also, so that's really nice, and you can always reach me, and whatever I can do for you, I will definitely do. And when you get the slides, you can also check out some other videos. One of them is the presentation from last year, so you'll get like a little bit more detailed on what I told you in the first couple of slides. And the other one is a video I made along with Thiago about how is the cycling culture in Denmark. So thank you very much, and welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Estefanía. Given that you've just won quarter of an hour, I think it would be only fair to say that we have time for more questions.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I actually watched the one of last year online, and I'm glad I'm sitting here and you're presenting. My name is Kelechi, I'm from Nigeria. I would like to know, you didn't touch about the academic aspect of the program. I want to know how you were able to scale through, being from Colombia and also a scholarship student. So I want to know how you were able to scale through academically.
Well, I didn't want to talk about academic stuff because I knew that you were going to get a lot of information regarding the academic processes here, so I thought I would focus more on my cultural experience, so to say, but I think that's a very important question. Thank you. As I told you earlier, this is a very different educational system. For example, in Colombia, we're more encouraged to make associations, analyze and formulate in a different way, maybe in a more creative way. I think that the academic world, mainly in Europe in general, not only in Denmark, will require you to actually respond to what you've been asked for in the way that you've been taught about it. So it's basically what I would advise to you is to pay a lot of attention to class, make sure that you read the questions that are like the research questions for your essays, and make sure you actually answer that question based on the content that you are giving in class. So be very strict in the sense that you pay a lot of attention on what are the proposals, what are the theories that have been taught about the world. Some of them might maybe clash with your own beliefs, especially coming from non-Western countries. Then you will have a lot of reasons to say, this is not how it works, this is not how it, right? But try to put yourself in a European perspective of the understanding of a globalization process. Although, of course, your experience will also contribute a lot to the debate. So that would be my first advice to it. But I think in general, this is, as long as you dedicate enough time, if they give you 10 days for an exam, I assure you it's because it's gonna take you 10 days to perform well enough. So use your time correctly. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Piggybacking on that question and the answer to it, this is a reoccurring issue, and when I started addressing sort of the fact that when you're teaching Mundusians, you're teaching a plethora of different cultures and academic ambitions and aspirations, and you need to take care of that. You take that into consideration as a teacher, but you also, each one of you, will have to take into consideration that the man or woman next to you might experience this in a whole different way. So we will address this throughout the autumn in a series of workshops about study culture commencing next Tuesday. We have time for one more question. Yes, ma'am.
I can just ask them here.
Oh, very
I'm just curious as to what you're doing after the program.
Okay, so that's going to be a little bit frustrating for you. I'm not doing nothing currently. Although looking for a job, it's a 24-hour job. I am looking for a job. I applied to several jobs in London. Unfortunately, the policies, as I was talking to you before, the emotional struggle and the failure that you have to be ready to cope with can be a lot, because you're going to be away from home, you're going to be away from everything you know, from your family, whatever, and then you're going to get, not necessarily you, but in my case, I got a lot of rejections, all of them based on my nationality. None of them was because you're an unskilled person, you don't have the required, no. All of them were, I'm sorry, we're not able to sponsor a working visa for you. So that's very harsh after you have just finished your studies. So right now, I'm sort of taking it easy, getting all the anger out.